back to another edition of Tech Talk powered by Standard Time. I'm Mike, and sitting across from me is Ray.
That's me.
Yeah, this is good stuff. And there's our little GoPro camera up there. We are both an audio podcast and a video podcast. You can subscribe at iTunes, Google Play Store, YouTube, McDonald's. I mean, we're everywhere. It's crazy.
Everywhere.
You run us at Redbox. It's insane.
Yeah.
We just came on Netflix. Just joking. That would be cool, though. Anyway, so I digress, per usual. I'm always digressing. We have a good show today, Ray. I'm excited about this. Last time we talked about the movie Interstellar and some physics, which was
crazy physics.
Great show, but I'm totally into I have no idea what it's about or how it works, but I'm one of those guys where it like clicks in my brain and I understand it. Yeah. But then I don't. It's way above me. So, but I love it. So now today we're going to stick on the subject of time because we're talking about atomic clocks, blah, 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 all that stuff. And this last one, we just kind of wanted to continue it with why is time so stinking important to humans?
Yeah, why are we so obsessed with it?
We're obsessed with it.
To the point where we're making a clock that has
accurate.
An error rate of 1 second every 300 billion years.
Why is that? Why are we so obsessed with time? Because if we weren't obsessed with time, then it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, right.
And we'd just be, peace, love, and happiness.
Sure. And, actually, it may just be the Western culture that is so obsessed. Other cultures are not really that obsessed. They have their siestas. They work their 6 days a week. Their life is slow, manual labor, and time is just not all that important. But to the Western world, man, it's everything.
Oh, yeah. You know what I call that? People who are just like, Well, we live in Colorado, and there's a little mountain town called Woodland Park. Yeah. And everyone in Woodland Park's just living their life. Yeah. They're living a happy life. And when you come from where we live down in Colorado Springs, where you're just like, go. And you go up there, and everyone's like driving the speed limit, looking at the scenery. So we call that Woodland Park mode.
Yeah, okay, right. We're going back into Woodland Park mode.
Yep. So when we come back down into the Springs, and there's someone just poking along on the interstate, I'm like, dude, get out of Woodland Park mode. I'm late for work.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it might be, at least in the Western mind, time is so precious, and we're so obsessed with it because it is in our view in such short supply. It turns out you only get about 700,000 hours. Okay, that sounds like a lot, but it goes by so quick. Yeah, and we want to capitalize, take advantage of every hour.
Right.
But problem is you end up doing so many other things that take away from your available discretionary time. I mean, you end up spending 25 years of your life sleeping.
Wow.
Okay. Think about that. I mean, you watch TV for 9 years of your life, just sitting there watching TV. 2 years of that is commercials.
And not all good commercials either.
Slack-jawed. So, you're burning a lot of time. You spend 3.5 years cooking and cleaning.
That's bad.
You spend another 3.5 years eating.
That's good.
I like to eat as fast. I multitask. I never sit and eat. And that's the only task I do. I'm always doing something else. I'm reading. I'm typing. I'm doing something else. But hey, fact is, you're spending 3.5 years of your life just eating.
Eating food.
You spend 3 months of your life sitting in traffic.
That's bad. That's not good.
You spend 1.5 years in the bathroom of your life.
That depends on if that's good or bad. Sometimes that's good.
Right. And some people spend almost a year of their life just figuring out what to wear.
That would be my daughter.
Okay. So out of all of that, you only get about 10 years of actual work. So that's a small percentage of your life.
Yeah.
And in the Western mind, that time is high speed mode. I mean, you're going 90 miles an hour. You're getting your stuff done. You're multitasking. You're watching every minute. And you are just taking advantage of every minute of that time. If you're not on Facebook.
Which, a lot of that time is spent at work on Facebook.
Sure.
Well, Daniel, I didn't say that for me. That's my boss.
Uh-oh.
I'm never on Facebook.
No,
I swear.
No.
I swear.
No.
So, Ray, what exactly is time?
Well, okay. So from the day Adam and Eve first woke up in the Garden of Eden, and they looked up and the sun is, hey, it's kind of moving. And then hours later, it gets dark and you can trace the sun across the sky, right?
Right.
And it sets. And the next morning you wake up, same thing happens. So man has observed just naturally the characteristics of time, things that happen over a certain amount of time, observable to you as a human. The Earth orbits around the sun every 365 and a quarter days. So you observe the year. You got the seasons, and you feel the effects of that. And it happens over a series of, days. And those seasons come and go, and you naturally feel that, and you start saying, if you're Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel and Noah and his sons, Shem, what were they? Shem, Ham, and Japheth, or
Japheth.
Yeah, those guys. I mean, you're observing this.
Right.
Okay. The Earth rotates around on its own axis every 23 hours and 56 minutes. We say 24 hours. Okay.
Okay.
So, I mean, you see the sun come up, the sun set, and it happens every single day. And you just observe that naturally. And from the beginning of man's existence, they have always seen this. The moon completes an orbit around the Earth every 27.32 days. So we call that a month. You have your daily effects of the moon traveling around, orbiting the Earth in the tides, so you can measure these things. So man has observed these things, and it is just man is naturally inquisitive. Why is this? Why? And how much can I do in one of these days? How much can I do in a year? And so the whole concept of hours, breaking the day up into 24 hours, that's just man's invention. Minutes, 60 seconds.
Trying to put some sort of definition or shape to time.
Yeah, man loves to quantify because you can quantify, you can measure. And so these hours, minutes, and seconds, they may have been God's invention. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know if anyone really knows who invented these. But those concepts of hours, minutes, and seconds are where man begins to get this obsession for time and to try to quantify it, measure it. And so that just leads us down this road that we just cannot pull back from. We love this idea of time.
Right. Now, when we opened the show, we were talking about why we're obsessed with it, and you had mentioned atomic clocks.
Yeah.
So how do atomic clocks work?
Well, they're basically measuring, the short answer to this is that they're measuring the vibrations of a certain atom. Okay. And you have different clocks that use different atoms that they are measuring. And so the latest clock that's at the National Institute of Standards and Technology up in Boulder, Colorado, just a stone's throw up the road from us, uses a cesium atom, actually a cluster of those cesium atoms. It turns out that they have a very stable vibration from energy levels that is about 9 billion times a second. Okay.
Okay.
And so if you can observe those changes in energy level and have a sensor that can count them, you can simply count 9 billion of them and you know that that's a second. Okay, I'm rounding up, or rounding down rather. Sorry. It's above 9 billion. But you just count them, and if you can count them, you know you have 1 second. That's how an atomic clock works. Now, they don't all use cesium. That is just one that that they've invented up there in Boulder. Basically, what they do is in this particular clock, and there's a lot of different ones, but in this particular one, they will take the electrons, the atoms, and they will freeze them down to as close as they can to absolute zero, which is 460 degrees Fahrenheit below zero. Okay, so pretty cold.
That's cold.
That is the point. Absolute zero is the point at which all motion stops. Okay,
so they're not moving.
Nothing moves. Okay, so they're trying to get as close as they can to basically filter out any noise. They're slowing everything down. Okay.
Okay.
So then they use some electromagnets to toss this little ball of cesium atoms up into a tube. And when it's thrown up into a tube, they can fire lasers at it, and that excites the atoms, and they will switch levels. And you can observe with sensors, you can observe the change in level. And basically those vibrations of 9 billion times a second, you can count them. And that's all they really do. Now that I say all they really do, I mean, this took decades to perfect. I mean, This is no simple matter.
Right.
The brightest minds on Earth were involved in creating this. So I oversimplify here, but basically that's how they're doing it. You count the number of vibrations in the electrons in the atoms. That's why they call it an atomic clock, because you're using atoms.
Okay.
So that's basically how it works. The National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST is what it's called. The NIST F2 is the latest clock that they're using in Boulder. That is accurate to 1 second every 300 million years.
That's pretty accurate.
Yeah. Because this atom is so stable, and they're able to count the vibrations.
Okay, so do GPS units use these?
They do. They don't use that one, but they do use atomic clocks. They're not freezing the atoms down to absolute zero, but they are using atomic clocks. They are on board those satellites. Turns out there's 24 of those satellites right now at the time of this podcast. They are geostationary, and so they are sitting in one place up there. And I mean, that would be another good podcast. How does GPS work? Basically, they are satellites, and so they are transmitting. So your iPhone has a receiver. It's not transmitting. It is nothing more than an antenna radio receiver. And it receives these signals from the GPS, which contain the time and the position. So you get triangulation between 3 or more of these. You need at least 3. It's nice to have more, but you can get the exact time at which a position occurs or is transmitted from various satellites, and you can get down to an accuracy of a few centimeters. And so in the year 2000, I think they had, prior to the year 2000, U.S. government introduced an error that was thrown into these signals so that you could never get an accurate position, and you had accuracy, I don't know, maybe into 50 feet or so. But the year 2000, they took that out, and you are now able, if you have very big antennas, you can get down to a centimeter. Now, your iPhone doesn't have a big antenna. It has a little one.
Right.
So if you walk around, like, you ever do geocaching? You ever done that?
No, but I'm very tempted to get into.
Okay,
it
so
looks like fun to
Pokemon
me.
Go, okay.
Pokemon Go's
is kind of a geocache type thing.
but more electronic as far as what you find, right?
Yeah, it's electronic, right? Where geocaching is physical.
Right.
So
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, oh, it is. It's very fun.
Have you done it?
I have many, many times.
Really?
And so what you do is you grab your phone and go to geocache.com, and you can go and you can say, okay, hey, there's a cache. Well, what is a cache? It's a box. It's a little box. And inside that box will be some fun things, toys, money, stuff you can get. Well, you use your GPS. And we're way off topic here. Sorry.
Oh no, that's
and
fine.
You walk around.
That's how I work, Ray. I digress, man, all the time.
And you walk around and you find it's like the Pokemon Go, but in real life with real things, physical
Which
things.
is way better.
Yeah. So you walk around and you find these things, and you get the box and you sign your name. You put something in, you take something out. Okay, so bring something with you. Bring a toy, bring some money.
Okay.
Bring some gold because I'm coming next right after you. But the fact is you need GPS to do that. And GPSs do not work without an atomic clock because you need very, very accurate time. It turns out atomic clocks are used on the power grid. They're used on your iPhone. I mean, your iPhone, your Android picks up its time from various time standards like the one in Boulder, the National Institute Standards and Technology. They're getting those accurate times through the cellular network. It's transmitted to your phone, and that's why your phone time clock is always right.
Okay, well, I see why with GPS and all that, why it would have to be so accurate.
Yeah.
Why else would I need an accurate representation of time?
Well, like 1 second every 300 million years?
Yeah.
You probably don't. The fact is there is no known use for that accuracy. They're doing it. Let's get down to it. It's because we're obsessed. We love time. And we love the challenge. We know that we can do it, so why not? Let's go ahead and do it. And I'll guarantee you, 20 years from now, they're going to have one even more accurate. They're going to say, oh, we just tripled this. It's every 100 million years.
No lie. And they're going to say it just like that. Dude!
We did it. And it is the chase. I mean, it is humans love to go down these roads, these extreme things. Now, one purpose, of course, is to calibrate the lesser accurate atomic clocks.
Right.
I mean, if you have a El Cheapo, $3,000 atomic clock, you want to calibrate it against something that's higher accuracy and get a reset every once in a while so that your clock is it's kind of close too.
Right.
It's just tracking with the one that loses a second over 300 million years. And so that's one of the reasons you have to have a clock that's higher accuracy in order to calibrate the lower accuracy ones. And so you got to stay ahead of the curve. You got to keep making it better and better because other ones are going to come along and they're going to need calibration. They're going to need a standard that they can rely on. So that's one of the other reasons.
Okay, so if we're so accurate with our time and we can GPS something to the centimeter and my cell phone is always dead on, why in my house are all my clocks, wall clock, alarm clock, stove, VCR, well, it's not VCR anymore, I guess it's Blu-ray, why are they like 2 to 4 minutes off from each other?
Yeah, right.
Where I'm like, okay, yeah, I have 5 minutes to to leave to work, and it's like I should have left 10 minutes ago.
Right.
Why is that, Ray?
Okay. I have a theory. It is not because of the clock is crap. I think the clock has probably a nice quartz movement, a nice quartz oscillator, and it probably, I don't know, loses a second every 10 years. So that's a good question. I mean, the thing isn't changing.
Right.
So why are they all different? You look at your microwave, and it says 12 o'clock. You look at your watch, it says 12:02. Crap.
And you just set them together like a month ago.
Well, okay. Here's my theory. I think that when you set them, you don't look at the seconds. I think you just look at the minutes. So let's say you're looking at your wristwatch. Okay, it says 12 o'clock. And you got to set the microwave because the power went out. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So you go ahead and you set it to 12 o'clock. And then, oops, I look down and my watch now says 12:01. Oh, rats. Okay? So they may have been, 5 seconds or 50 seconds off. So now you've got your clock that's about 50 seconds, was for the most part about a minute off.
Right.
Your wife comes along and she's got to set the oven timer.
Okay.
Oven clock. Well, she looks over the microwave. She's doing the same thing. She's not looking at the seconds. She's looking at minutes. So she says, "Oh, okay, it's 8:52. Okay, click, click, click. Okay, 8:52." She does the same thing. She looks over, looks at the microwaves. Oh, darn it! It clicked over to 8:53. So you're going around your house and you're just like setting these clocks off of other clocks that have not been calibrated. It's all about calibration.
Okay.
And so it's not as though the darn thing loses time. It's not some El Cheapo thing. It's just because you're not calibrating them properly. That's my theory.
That's a good theory. I can see why.
And it drives my nuts. It drives my wife nuts. When I go to here's what I do. I take out my cell phone because the cell phone is going to have time based on the atomic clock, right? So what I do is, and my wife's watching me, rolling her eyes going,
you're staring at the time.
So I type in 1 minute more than what my cell phone says. So my cell phone says 12 o'clock. I type in 12:01. Then as soon as my cell phone clicks over to 12:01, I tap set.
And you're on.
And I'm on. Okay,
right.
Well, then the power goes out and I have to redo it.
Right.
But my wife's going, oh, gosh, can't you just...
We're running late.
But anyway, that's how I do it. And so my clocks are all... But this is one of those little irritations that gets you. So the fact is they're not connected to an atomic clock in any way. Right. That's where it all stems from.
Okay, and you were talking quartz and quartz clocks.
Oscillators, right?
Yeah, explain that to me.
Basically, that's another just a way to have a timer. Microprocessor use quartz oscillators. Basically, It's just another little chip that allows you to excite a quartz rock, and it can give you pulses, electrical pulses, and you will get a very accurate clock from it.
So you actually have a piece of quartz rock in those watches.
Yeah, there's a little oscillator chip. I call it a chip, but basically it's just a little can that's a quarter the size of your fingernail. It's a very tiny pinpoint looking little thing.
Right.
And that is where you get your time, your accurate time measurement from.
Okay.
And so it's not a bad thing. Mm-hmm. But the fact is that clocks that are disconnected from the main standard are always going to be susceptible to bad calibration like this.
Right.
So what's going to happen, I mean, I don't know how long it's going to take, 10, 20 years, all clocks will have a radio receiver. And a lot of them do now. Your cell phone works differently. It's getting the time over the cellular network. Your computer, your Mac is getting it over the internet. They have time servers where it's getting the time. But let's say you want your wristwatch to be accurate. You don't want to set it by just looking at the microwave, because the microwave is set from the wall clock, which is set from it's all messed up.
Right.
So you want the wristwatch to have a little radio receiver. It turns out that there's 29 of these transmitters around the Earth that transmit time. All they do is it's just a radio transmitter, and it transmits the time. So you know what time it is, and that comes from atomic clocks.
So that's why if I fly to England, I look at my phone, and my time's already set to England time.
Yes, and you drive across time zones, right, from Colorado into Kansas, those kinds of things. Well, that's coming over the cellular network.
Right.
And the GPS knows where you're at.
That drove me crazy at first because I didn't know that.
And the cellular towers know where you're at.
Right. I never knew that. So I would be trying to switch my phone, forward an hour.
Right.
And it wouldn't let me. And I'm like, oh, or I'd get confused. But now I know.
Yeah. But how does your dumb wristwatch do it? It has no connection to the internet. Now, of course, you have smart wristwatches that
now that'll do it.
Bluetooth to your phone.
Right.
What if you have a dumb wristwatch that has no connection to the internet, to the cellular network? Well, it needs a radio receiver, and that's where all clocks are going. I mean, you can make a wall clock with a radio receiver, and that will receive from these time standards. The one in Colorado's National Institute Standards Technology, NIST, they transmit this. And so all clocks are going that way. You will not have dumb clocks anymore because it drives people like me crazy to see them off by a minute. And the only way to solve it, we got to get technology in there and fix this problem.
Right.
You can't have a clock that's off by a minute.
You can't.
No.
We value time too much.
Yes.
We're obsessed with it. So we are powered by Standard Time.
Yes.
Which is a time tracking app.
Right, yes. Project tracking.
Yeah, so why is tracking our time so very important?
Well, again, in the Western world, not so much in other cultures where time is just not so valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Panama. People work 6 days a week. They make $1 an hour, and they don't really care how long they work on something, how long something takes. It could take months to build a new building, new house. It's okay. But in the Western world, you have this concept that time is money. And it comes from the fact that I'm paying you a good salary to have a good house and and 2 cars and a BMW and 8 cell phones.
Dude,
and an atomic clock. And
I'm in the wrong business.
If I'm going to pay you all that much money, I have to pretty much make sure that you get your stuff done pretty quick. And but the problem is most people are just blissfully ignorant about how long things take. And this is it's so funny when you're in business and you're having to execute a project. You have a start date, you have an end date, and if you don't get that product out, someone else will. First one to the market gets 100%. Fitbit comes out and they got 100% market share, and they're reaping the benefits of their investment.
Right.
That is how the marketplace works in the Western world. You have to get new products out there. You have to be innovative. And that's what we're doing with Standard Time. We're putting out new features, new products. We're listening to customers. And so Standard Time, this product you talked about, time tracking, project tracking, it is just out there all the time with something new. And so if you don't do that, the marketplace just kind of leaves you behind and you become irrelevant.
Right.
And so it turns out that most people just do not have a concept for how long things take. And you can pretty much take their estimates and multiply them by 4.
Oh, easily. I'm in video, and people think, throw together a video.
Yeah.
And because we've done videos, it's not like that.
So every minute of video takes you how many hours?
Every minute, I think.
Of man hours?
Between an hour, 2 hours, depending on the difficulty.
For every minute. Of video.
For every minute of video.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so you ask the average guy, he'll say, that'll take you about 30 minutes, right? Throw that out there.
I just did a wedding video, a montage thing.
Yeah.
2.5 minute song took me 18 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, just insane. So that's more than a minute an hour.
Right. And if you're doing these on a regular basis and you're having to make money off of it, you've got to make sure that these projects get done and that you're not camping out on tasks and kind of just taking a leisurely approach to it. You've got to get these projects done. So Standard Time just pretty much shows you how far off all your estimates are.
So what you're saying is Standard Time is like the atomic clock.
Yes, right. It'll hold your feet to the fire, man.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty sweet.
That's what it does.
What else does it do?
Well, it's pretty much employee timesheets, but you've got behind the scenes, you've got that project management, you've got task management, project tracking. Of course, you're going to be billing clients for these. Even if they're internal clients, you're going to be billing people for it. And they want to know where that time is spent. They want the accountability. So it has that, the time and expenses, but it's also good for tracking PTO, paid time off. So you got your approvals and rejections of time off and blackout periods and things like that. So it pretty much runs a consulting, engineering, manufacturing type office. And that's pretty much what it does. But it is you're right, it is the atomic clock, man. It keeps you on task.
Keeps you going. That's awesome. That's cool. Well, Ray, that's about all the time we have.
Okay.
Why is time so stinking important to it?
Yeah, I hope it was good. Hope
time is running out.
Our listeners and viewers enjoyed that.
Yeah, that's fun. So, what did I want to say? I want to say to please subscribe to our podcast.
Right.
We're on iTunes. We're on Google Play. We're on YouTube. You can also download these because we're also a video podcast. So YouTube again, or on the website at stdtime.com. Subscribe to all of these. Leave comments.
Let us know what you want to hear.
Yeah.
Like, how does GPS work?
That would be a good one. I wouldn't mind that. I'm going to try geocaching, I think, this week.
Yeah.
That sounds like fun. For real. I've wanted to try that for years, but I didn't have a smartphone.
You will find dozens of them.
That's awesome. My kids will get into that too.
Yeah.
That's like a good hiking, like family fun thing to do on the weekend.
Load your pockets up with fun stuff to stick into the little geocache box.
I'm going to do it. So I digress again. So subscribe to the podcast. Leave comments. Let us know what you want us to talk about, and we'd love to talk to you about them.
Mike and Ray.
Yeah, Mike and Ray with Tech Talk, powered by Standard Time. We'll see you next time. See ya.